Importance of attending Mass every Sunday.
I think it's important because you get one-on-one time with God and you're able to reflect and pray.
The importance of reading and understanding the Bible.
I think it's important because we read what God wanted us to do and how God wanted us to live, and we see that by what he did for everyone else in the Bible, and we learn the lessons from the parables that he taught.
Okay, what is the definition of being a Catholic to you?
I feel like being Catholic is that you want to do what Jesus did and you want to follow in what he did.
What have you done to be a better follower of Christ?
I feel like I've been really nice to everyone and I've helped people who have needed help lately and I've just been there for everyone.
Okay.
Do you think going to church strengthens your faith? Why?
Yes, going to church does strengthen your faith because you learn more about God and Jesus and like the old times and like all Jesus' stories and how you can be better. And
How often do you think someone should attend confession?
I think someone should attend confession every week because you sin every week and it's not good to like hold a sin and like a bad sin for a long time.
Okay, thank you.
So, one thing that I learned from this project would be that everyone has their own view on religion. So another thing that I learned was that the age of each person affected the maturity in the answer. So like starting off with Emily had really like thoughtful answers and she really interpreted. Samantha had really good answers. But you could tell, and then Christina, you could tell that she was the youngest by the way she answered and interpreted each question. So that's one thing I learned. And then the last thing I learned was that some people had a stronger faith than others. So some of the similarity and differences would be that like some of them had very different views, like Christine and Samantha. Samantha thought people should attend confession every other month, while Christina believed people should go once a week. So, and one similarity would be between Emily and Samantha, because Samantha and Emily both had the same definition of Catholic, like being Catholic to them. So that's one of the similarities. So this response that surprised me the most would have to be like the one that had to do with what Catholic meant to them. So each person had the same idea, but the different ways of expressing it. So yeah.
Some things that I learned from the interviews were that everyone has their own view on faith and everyone thinks that it's important to keep it in their lives. Some similarities was that everyone thinks that it's important to go to Mass every Sunday, and confession is also very important. And some differences were like, let's say, how you fulfill being a good Catholic, and some people would say volunteering, or some people would say helping others. And what surprised me the most was when my sister said that everyone should go to confession at least once a week because everyone sins, and if you sin a lot during that week, then it's best to go talk to a priest and not hold it in and just let everything go and be cleansed of your sins.
Some things I learned from this interview is that everyone has different views on religion and everyone has their own values on faith, and even though the ages varied of the people that we interviewed, they still have their own opinions on what they think about religion. The people we interviewed gave some similar responses, but some were different, especially the question we asked about how often we should go to confession. The answers definitely surprised me because they're like very different of the answer that I would have given. The girls said that they would recommend going to confession once a month or even once a week, when I would have said you should go like every 6 months or like once a year. Also, another answer that surprised me was what it means to be Catholic, because no matter how old the person was, they all had their own like strong opinion on like what it means like to be Catholic to them, and they still had their own like thought of what it is.
One quote we chose for our project was, "In other words, St. Paul believed that individuals participate in the life of the church because at the very core of our being, everyone needs the church." We chose this because the main focus of our project is whether or not everyone should attend Mass every Sunday, or if going to church strengthens your relationship with Christ. And all of our interviewers said that they think it was very important to keep a relationship with Christ. The next quote is, "The bottom line is that many people do not feel that belonging to a church is vital to their maintaining of a relationship with God." I chose this quote because our whole project and our whole video was about explaining why going to Mass and why reading the Bible was very important to have a relationship with Christ, because without that, you won't receive and understand everything that Christ has done for us, and you basically can't have a relationship with God unless you're in His house and you're receiving His body and blood. And so we basically chose that quote so we can argue it and tell you why it's not true.